Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing good. So in this video we're going to be talking about DAO or Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Now I know that sounds weird, but we'll understand it in today's video. Now a little introduction about myself. I belong from fintech background, so I had some knowledge about DAO, but this was one aspect of the fintech world which I didn't knew much about. So I gathered all the knowledge, I made a presentation for me to learn. So I thought, why not? I should share it with you as well. So let's get started. What is DAO? DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization and it is an emerging form of legal structure. See, it's an emerging form of legal structure which tells us that it is not yet completely in implementation and the laws about this are still in the gray side. So if you're planning to make a DAO, read the laws carefully and don't do anything unlawful, because that's going to cause problems in your country. With no central governing body, every member within a DAO typically shares a common goal and an attempt to act in the best interest of the entity. There's no central governing body, there's no board of directors, there's no CEO, so everybody has an equal say in the organization and everybody attempts to act in the best interest of the entity in order to make profits. And everybody is considered equal. For example, let's say I have 0.001% of one DAO. I will be considered equal and I will be given voting rights. I will be heard in the organization and my ideas will also be considered for the future growth. Popularized through cryptocurrency enthusiasts and blockchain technologies, DAO are used to make decisions in the bottoms-up management approach. Now, what is the bottoms-up management approach? Many people don't know about this, but I'll tell you. Bottoms-up management approach is considered in a place where you let your employees decide what is going to happen in the future for the organization. Now, in many cases, this is helpful when the senior level management feels helpless and clueless about what they can do in order to increase profits or, in order to innovate faster. Mainly, in most cases, the employees have a great insight on how to innovate and how to save costs, because they are the people who are working on site and they can tell you the best things about the company. So in this case, even the small shareholders or the small stakeholders are given equal consideration. Now, this is an idea on how a process is to be initiated in a DAO. Firstly, for example, let's say I own 0.0111% in a DAO. Okay, now you must be thinking, that's a very low percentage to own in a DAO. Yeah, but that's okay. You still have the right to propose your ideas and your ideas will be heard and will be voted upon, and then will be going to the development stage and then into the deployment stage. Now, firstly, let's say imaginarily a DAO is created. There are big players, Adani, Ambani, Birla, and then there is me. They all together own 99% of the DAO and I just own 1%. Okay, I want to give them an idea. I give them an idea and 75% of them agree. Okay, so let's make it 76 because I'm also going to agree on my idea. 76% of us agree. After the voting, we lead to the development stage. Now in the development, we decide whether or not the idea is feasible and if it can be implemented. If it is, then we move to the deployment stage. And after the deployment, if it becomes profitable, we all are going to be rewarded, including me, which doesn't really happen in the normal world. And in this case, since you are even a small percentage stakeholder in a DAO, you will still be given your share of the profit. Now, next slide. Now, this is a completely different example. Now, you guys must be thinking, why am I giving you so many examples? Now, guys, DAO is a difficult concept to understand at first. So if you understand this via examples, it's going to be very easy for you to understand what DAO really is. So that's the reason I'm giving you many various examples. So in this case, let's say I'm taking an example of building contractors or builders, let's say. Now, builders do not usually make the whole thing or complete the whole project by themselves. They get various other contractors by, subwriting them, and then they do the work all together. Now, but there's a very huge problem in this. There's no defined business model. There's no operational parameters. Like somebody is doing something else, somebody is doing something else, and they collide. They cause problems, and then there is other problems. And on top of that, there are no defined payment terms. So DAO solves all of this. It defines a contractor code within which it defines the business model, if there is any, and it defines the operational parameters. It defines the payment terms. Inside the DAO code, they securely hold the amount of funds that needs to be transferred. Then, or in this example, it's written Ethereum, but since we're taking a hypothetical example, I'm going to be saying rupees. Now, DAO's token gives you the right of the ownership, which therefore defines the governance. Let's say I own 10% stake in the DAO, so I'm 10% owner of the company or the DAO. Now then, it also manages the voting rights. For example, there needs to be a little change in the agreement. If everybody, or let's say 51% of the people agree, then the voting, after the voting, it will be implemented. So that's easy. Whereas in a normal company, let's say I have one share of Reliance, which is like nothing in like actual shareholding terms, 0.0000001, I think. So if I own that much of Reliance, my word will not even be considered. I will not be heard unless I'm in the top, shareholding power, like 10%, 15%, 30%. Only then I will be having the right to sit with the board of directors or the CEO and give my ideas. In this case, each and every idea is heard. So this is a way better structure of an organization than the current organizations. Now, what are the components of DAO? This is basically telling you what the DAO majorly consists of. There's no centralized legal entity. For example, let's say there are 4 banks: HDFC, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, and Yes Bank. In India, there's a central bank, which is RBI. Let's say the RBI is not present. All the 4 banks come together and form a DAO. Now, let's say Axis Bank, HDFC Bank, and ICICI Bank together own 75% of that DAO. And Yes Bank only owns 25%. Yes Bank wants to get something implemented. They have the right to have their word listened. Okay, so they give their word, and all the other 3 banks listen to it. 2 of them decide to go with the thing, and 1 of them decides not to go with the thing. So this gives the DAO 75% after a voting of the 4 banks, right? So since we have 75% of the votes, it goes into the development stage, and then it goes into the deployment stage. Now, self-enforcing code. Since smart contracts are present, self-enforcement is present amongst the organization. Tokens act as incentives for validators. Now, what are tokens? I don't think I've talked about this in the previous while. So I'll tell you what tokens are. Now, tokens are like shares of a company. In this case, DAO provides tokens to everybody who's wanting to buy a stake in the company or the DAO. So number of tokens you have depicts the shareholding or the stakeholdership in that DAO. Now it also acts as an exchange. It acts as a validator, since multiple transactions or multiple validations are generated at the same time. And then it also acts as a user, and it also acts as a developer. Now, moving ahead, steps for launching a DAO. Firstly, you need to create a smart contract, then you need to get some funding, and then you move towards deployment of the DAO. Now, talking more deeply about those things, or 3 major steps in the firstly, the smart contract creation. A developer or a group of developers must create the smart contract behind the DAO first before moving ahead. So after the launch, they can only change the rules set by these contracts through governance system. Listen to this very carefully. Group of developers or a single developer come together and make a smart contract which acts behind the DAO, which backs the DAO. Now, after the launch, if they want to change something, they will have to go towards through the governance system. Right now, they have the power to change it, but after that, a fix or a set governance system will be followed. So they have the right to change it right now itself. Now that means that they must extensively test these contracts to ensure that they do not overlook any important details. Now, if they overlook any important details, the data will be breached, the vaults may be emptied, or the strategies might be copied, or something else like that. Now, after this, they move towards the funding stage. In the funding stage, people like me, you, other big players in the market come together and provide funding to the DAO. After receiving the funding, the DAO issues them tokens, which acts as their stakeholdership right, and it also provides them voting rights. Then we move towards the deployment. Once everything is done, it is deployed in the blockchain. From this point onwards, the stakeholders decide the future of the organization. Now, the organization's creators, or the people who wrote the smart contracts, are no longer a major influence in the project, and they are considered nothing more than the other stakeholders in the organization. Now, very important question is, why do we need DAOs? Now, firstly, DAOs are required because traditional organization requires a lot of trust and people behind it, especially on the behalf of the investors. With DAO, only the code needs to be trusted. In simpler words, while we invest in a company, we have to trust the CEO, the management, and everything. In the case of a DAO, we are trusting ourselves and the code itself, and the code is way easier and way better to trust than a person, because code does what it says. People can flicker or flip from what they say. Every action in DAO takes after being launched every action a DAO takes after being launched has to be approved by the community, and it is completely transparent and verifiable. So now, since it is taking place in a virtual or an online mode, every action is completely transparent, verifiable, and it can be seen by anybody online. Such an organization has no hierarchical structure, yet it can accomplish tasks and grow while being controlled by the stakeholders itself. The lack of hierarchy means that any stakeholder can put up innovative idea towards the organization, and it can cause easy and more faster developments. Okay, by allowing investors to pool funds, DAO can also give them a chance to invest in early stage startups and decentralized projects while sharing the risk or any profits that they may incur in the near future. So DAO provides an early stage investment opportunity to people like us. So personally, I am going to be starting or partnering up with a startup which is already existent in order to create a DAO. If I do so in the near future, I will notify you on the channel, and you guys can also be a stakeholder in that DAO. So stay tuned for that. Now moving ahead, what are the benefits of DAO? Now this is a very important thing. It is a decentralized platform. There's no CEO, there's no board of directors, and everybody has the authority in this organization. Every single person, no matter how small a stake you have in the company. Next thing, participation. Everybody feels more participated and empowered and connected in this entity because everybody has the right to participate. Now, publicity. Within DAO, everything is publicly viewable, so people act in a better manner, and this also helps them feel the best, and the best decisions are taken for the organization. This also promotes community building. Why? Since everybody is connected and following a single vision, it builds a community around the platform. Now, moving to the limitations of DAO. Sometimes speed of decision taking is very reduced because every user has to respond, and this can take a very long time. Education. Now, talking about education, people don't know about DAO. See, even I from a fintech background knew very less about DAO, and then I learnt about it. Now, this education is not present in the people who are above 50, I think, in the current scenario. We need to educate them about this, make them understand, make them believe, make them learn how this works, which is a very major task in the current world. And since the DAO is bringing together people from different mindsets, they must learn how to grow, strategize, and communicate as a single unit, which is a very major task. Inefficiency. Now, it can be inefficient and efficient both at the same times. It depends upon how a DAO is working and what kind of stakeholders does it have, really. So, in case of inefficiency, we need to first educate the people, communicate properly, explain the strategies. Whereas in an efficient DAO, voters are already educated, they communicate properly, they don't need to be explained any strategies, they already know what's going on, and they can get on new members on board by themselves as well, and they don't need to coordinate that much, and they just can move with their word. Where in case of inefficiency, they do not move with their word, and people take wrong decisions at times. Security. Security is a major threat in today's world, and in case of technology and technical expertise, people do not trust technology as much as they trusted their own things in the past. And it is still in the development stage, but security is improving daily. But till the time we cannot be 100% secure that our money is secure in our technology, nobody is going to invest properly, like all of the money in DAO. Till we reach that stage, DAO is still going to be an emerging platform and not the present scenario. It's still the future. So if you are wanting to create a DAO, link with me on Instagram, or come on my Twitter, maybe. Also, you can message or you can join my Telegram. I'll soon be creating a WhatsApp group, but for that I need to have some active audience. Right now my channel is lacking some active audience, and I'm waiting for that active audience to arrive, and I know what active audience is. So once we reach that stage, I will create a WhatsApp group or a number of WhatsApp groups if that's the scenario. Now moving towards the two most popular examples of DAO. The DAO. Firstly, the DAO. Yeah, this was the very huge thing in the past. It was not a very huge success story, but it was a huge thing, but it was not a success story. DAO was one of the earliest attempts to build a decentralized financial network for crowdfunding venture capitalists. Unfortunately, it was hacked and resulting in a theft of 60 million worth of Ethereum token or Ether. This theft was controversially reversed by a process known as forking. This essentially split the blockchain into two separate chains, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. Now, if this hadn't happened, we would not have Ethereum or the Ethereum Classic. So this was good, but yeah, it is a sad story of past of what happened with DAO. Uniswap. It is one of the biggest and the most popular DAOs, and operates as a cryptocurrency exchange built on Ethereum blockchain. Anyone can become a member by holding the Uni token, which gives the voting rights on the way the organization is run and it is administered. Okay. Uniswap is a good organization, and I personally think that you guys, if you want to invest in something, Uniswap is the place you can invest. It is going to be the future because it is one of the biggest thing right now in DAO. Now that brings me to the end of the series. These are some references if you wanted to have a look. I will also be leaving a link down to this PPT just in case you want to have a look at it or add something. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.